This is day 211 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Today is Simon Kufman Gimel, Sif Lamed Av, the Sif Lamed A. If you would like to sponsor upcoming share or more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, you're very greatly appreciated. Please contact me directly. Lamed Av. Just like you're allowed to sell and give as a gift a shul in a kfar, in a village. You can exchange a shul or its sticks and stones for another one. Basic ness is that the new shul will take the place of the old shul in its holiness. So, and the if you're switching all these things, so the wood and the stones and the shul, which you switch for new ones, are go out to mundane and be allowed to use mundane purposes. Even with the sticks and stones, mecher umali chalifin, and it doesn't make a difference whether you are selling it or whether you're giving an exchange. Even though they permit all these things, they not permit to lend them or to rent them out or to give them as collateral to do with them mundane matters. The only permitted that something else will take over the kedusha, which originally was vested in this shul or these sticks and these stones. Like a purchase price, the money, or the exchange. But in terms of lending or renting, mashkon and collateral, nothing else is taking their place in terms of kedusha. So, they remain in their own kedusha after the end of the term of the borrowing, of rental, and the collateral. Mashkon. So can't take chulin below dover. So it would be called chulin without anything in exchange. But also that's forbidden. Mashitil matzon, that which they allowed a gift, they have tova kodemes because of some prior favor which he assumed took place. So it's like an exchange. You're not allowed to let the kedusha just go out for naught, even with the 7 selectmen and the people of the city. Even though, in such a case, the money you receive for the sale goes out l'chulin, which I have seen you ches. The pshat is like this. That's a chiddush. Even at the time of the sale, they have to be. They have to take the kedusha upon them. In other words, the kedusha has to be transferred from the shul to the money. The money is now kaddish. What the Shiva Tovir Mamanat She'er can do is afterwards, Yeshkoch the Shiva Tovir Mamanat She'er Mamanat, then the selectmen and the people of the city have the capacity. Let's see him l'chulin. Hashem can be as opposed to here where it's going to go directly out l'chulin. That's a big chiddush. Well, you know, even to say that, well, the rental money they take in now become holy. Since the shul etc. remains holy, there's no barter. Right? The rental on the shul is not. Since the shul is going to eventually come back. It's never lose the kedusha, so the kedusha is not going on the money. So you're not allowed to give the base invest out for some other purpose without that sale. It says in the brackets here, since they remain the kedusha, there's nothing on which to defray the holiness. The sas rate. It seems what he was writing seems to contradict what he writes elsewhere. Right. Actually, what he writes here, right? It's a paradox. It says it remains kadosh, but because there's nothing on which the kedusha should devolve. Or what do you mean? On Meis Chirus, they say no. Meis Chirus doesn't take the kedusha because it still retains the kedusha. It's happening Yotz L'Chulin. So right now, as the Shapir V'Duk, and that's what Arukh HaShulchan says, that it works out well according to what he says. The Sha'ar Tziyun says, you should know that all this is just bestam by default. But if we know that they want to completely nullify and eliminate its kedusha, but they don't find anybody to sell it, or that I can't get rental which will give them a sufficient income, they certainly have the capacity to rent it by the Tuva year B'Mamad Anshe year, which also not that we agree with. Nevertheless, he says that's only according to the Ramban and those who go with him. But according to the Ran, there's no way to do it unless you sell it all together, lechalutin. And that goes back to earlier, Sif Gimel, where he wrote that according to Ramban, Shul and anything like it does not have etzem kedusha. It's like tashmish mitzvah, so therefore you can rent it. But according to the Ran, who holds that it has these kedushas are the rabbanim, but they are still kedusha, you will not be able to rent it. Okay. Lamed base. V'day yishol l'kol mashis bar the heter mechir eno b'krachim. I would say you can't sell a shul in a the metropolis. Zel kol shemorchim motzei l'cholin. That's if you're selling the shul, in fact, for it to become chulin. Came of king kedusha, said since they eliminates kedusha, meled tzorch davar achar tochel al zer kedusha ve'eskem kulam. So you need something else in which the kedusha will be defrayed, and in order the kedusha should take effect on that, and everyone has to agree to that. Came krachin also k'mashis bar, and so that's also by krachin because you're taking a chulin. And B, people from the rest of the world are not going to agree to such a thing. And they have a say in the matter. I'm sorry. But you sell the shul to another group. In a manner that will retain its holiness as a shul. And so cloud over kedusha also allow. In that case, don't need something else upon which the kedusha will devolve. The davar that mutafil because that's permitted even in a metropolis. There is a Tosfos in Megillah Chav Vav who says Mirabim Yochid are not allowed to sell the shul from the masses to an individual. Why? It says Arukh HaShulchan at a time after the reason is the Rabbi Kvodo, it's going down from its honor. Avarov poskim chokim said most poskim are in this fulu and they hold that Mirabim Yochid Shari even from the masses to an individual is permitted. Kol she'em mafkin kedushas as long as they're not taking off its kedusha. The Sharat Tziyun argues. The Sharat Tziyun knows that to Yachid you do not have permission to sell it because that damages those who are coming from outside the city. Won't be as public anymore, I guess, and they will not be agreeable to this. Now, the Arukh HaShulchan's raya is coming up, and it's not necessarily a definitive raya against the Mishnah Berurah. So you'll see. That's what the Ramah writes. It's only when they take it down a level from its kedusha. But you can loan. Afilu sefer Torah likros ba, even sefer Torah to read in. Afilu mishal rabim liyochid, in from the masses to an individual. Now the Arukh HaShulchan holds that lashil, laskir, ulamashkein, and lemkor are all the same halacha, but it's not necessarily the case. Mishnah Berurah are obviously holds the difference between mechira, where this is like a permanent thing, and everything else which is temporary. Okay, but the Arukh HaShulchan Lishitasa says because came based on Knesset, based on Medrash, certainly a Shulam based on Shari Tashmish Kodesh, anything else which is for a Kodesh usage, Shiucholas Shilonas Kurlam Ashkenam, you can lend them and to rent them out and give them as collateral, the Chelam Ochron, and sell it as well, as long as Shishul it's a Kodesh Kedusha, so they're taking the Kedusha in the hands of the buyer. Even in Metropolis. Yochis now they Dovar Kedusha, since Kedusha basically seems to be the Rabbanon, so therefore it would seem to be that one could go Lukula according to Arukh HaShulchan. Yochid she's not a Dovar Kedusha, an individual who donated some matter of holiness. If he gave it to the community, who showed tzibur, it doesn't belong to him anymore. It's communities. And if not, or the minig is regarded as something which the tzibur is using it at present. Shir say what he wants, he can take it back and sell it. Then we go after the minig. That was this barrier their simulation test. Find the common Simon Kuf Nun Dalit. Lamagil, Kosmecha Migav Doilim. Morgan Abraham named Masas Binyamin. In Bona Base Knesses Chadosh of the Sasa Shan Pishiva Toiver Mamad Chule. if they built a new shul and then destroyed the old shul with the 7 selectmen and the city's consent, Paka Kedusha Me'ashana Kedusha goes off of the old one, B'chal Chadasha, it goes on the new one. So even though they already made the new one, for Hashem Lasos by Hashem can do with the old shul, come Mashut to anything they want. Lo Garami Matona. Giving it now to somebody else is no worse than a gift. But if not, ain't Kach Afilu Shiva Tova ear. The power even with the Shiva Tova ear. The Mamad on Shir. The Swell Swam the Bar Chol. If there's no new shul, they can't do that. Shein Kan Davar Acher Shituchul Dushas Allah. They can't. There's nobody else upon which the shul will devour. Chaim Majid Tosefta. That seems to be the case in Tosefta Akon L'Shana. Zesh Bar B'Yardei simulation test. The Menorah Shel Beis Knesses. Says Arukh HaShulchan Yardei, we learn that the menorah of a shul B'Chelas B'Yad Shiva Tuva'ir. There's the 7 selectmen have the authority. The Shanois Dvarashus to make it something which is involved in actual activity, no longer for lighting the candles. It's still not like a shul. Where it's made in order to say holy things. Davar means those holy things require 10 people. Kedusha cannot just fall off. Have a tshuva sarosh. Kasad sheshkoch biyad shiva tu be'ela associate basic is base dira. The shiva, the 7 selectmen, can make a shul into a dwelling house. Come open menorah just like a menorah. Tzarchim. It's not clear. How to Kedusha fall off just like that? Tzarchim have to say according to Magen Avraham, they must have he would say that they already built a new shul, and the kedusha it goes from the old shul onto the new shul. That's pretty astonishing, says Arukh HaShulchan. The lady before Tshuva Sarosh it says explicitly, Shivona Lios the Beis HaMedrash. They built a 2nd floor for the Beis HaMedrash, and then they changed their mind and decided Shiyumu do a Beis HaKnesses. Well, let me rephrase that. The base medrash, they built a 2nd floor to serve as base medrash. And then they changed their mind that instead of having a separate base medrash on the 2nd floor, they'll learn in the shul downstairs. And they rented out the upper floors for apartments. The yeshiva Rosh and Rosh says the shiva tove ear that the 7 selectmen. They're authorized to do that, to change it to optional activity. And there's no exchange. There wasn't an exchange of the holiness that should devolve to something else. Besides, it's very astonishing. The Rosh Shiva Tova after the Varashus, the Rosh says brings evidence for this, that from that which you're allowed to sell for the Varashus, which is nice, but Forish Bagamara, Sham Glaskir Asur, you're not allowed to rent for the Varashus. He said, and the Rosh himself brings this down. Because of the time you can't rent out something because there's no Kedusha is not defrayed by anything. Can't realize that the Eilim Beidim Tshuva Zu. You can't learn from this Tshuva Zarosh. The Tzarech Ian Gadol. Therefore, it's unclear that what exactly how the Shiva Tuvayer can rent out the rooms under these conditions. He says in the brackets, the Usr, it is definitely Usr. It's astonished that they don't point this out. So the bottom line is that you're not allowed to rent it out for the Rachel. That's in the Rosh is Tamua. And even what the Magen Avraham says in the name of Masas Binyamin, that once you already built a new shul, the Kedusha can devolve on that. How does this happen? The new shul is already built. How can the Kedusha of the old shul devolve on the new shul, which is already built? So he says it's usher to do this. And it seems it's also you have to, if I understand Arukh HaShulchan correctly, you have to use the proceeds from the old shul for the new shul before it's built. or maybe to pay back a loan with which it was built, but not actually after it's fully built to say, oh well, the kedusha devolves like a double exposure on the new shul. The bialachas remains also remains a tzarich ilm, which I guess is a little bit lighter than Mekel Ladina de Aser. Okay. Somebody who has a condition with the stipulation with the congregation. Only he and his descendants can build the shul in the community. Can't sell his right to somebody else. Because of the zel davka she do also that's why they gave it him as an honor. But if you purchase this right, kano l'chos chus, he purchased it for any purchased for any right, and therefore he could sell that right to other people. Loma says doesn't sound like that in the source of the halacha in the Mordechai Shammai. So the story was Shayosh's chuzeh, somebody inherited this right, and the heirs wanted to sell it. And he said they're not allowed to. Besides that, if they gave this to as a cover to their father, how can there be any Yerusha in such a thing? This is a cover specifically to the father. The MS, even if you acquired such as come on a side, I'm asking you. It's clear to us that they sold him not to sell to anybody else without their authorization. Because maybe he'll sell to somebody who's inappropriate. Mishabur also says you can only work if you sell to somebody appropriate. But Mishabur sounds like he can't sell, and the Arukh HaShulchan seems like he's arguing on the Beis Yosef. I'm sorry, he's arguing on the Taz and Elio Rabbah, who said that if you acquire the schus, by purchasing it instead of by a covet, then he can sell it to others. Arukh just says even if they sold it to him, doesn't matter, right? This not, and he says the Mordechai is obviously talking about the case of a sale because otherwise, if it wasn't a sale, it was a personal covet, there'd be no Yerusha. So therefore, it must have been the Mordechai's case be Yerusha, and nevertheless, it seems that that he purchased the right, and it was Yerusha. Nevertheless, they can't sell to somebody else because it might be Eino Hagun. The brackets are Arukh HaShulchan writes, "Mataz atzmo kosav." The time self writes, "Mikom makom baruhu shaloyim koel mishogun kamo." So Mishabur said, "You have to sell to some." Mishabur does quote the Taz, to be fair. So you have to sell specifically to somebody who's hogan like himself. They only give him in this condition. If that's the case, why did they say the mechabed him? What difference does it make? So the Beis Yosef means they can't sell without the purchaser of the right cannot sell without the authorization of the kohol. Lamed Kosovaram and Perchas Matnasanim the Rav. Government most of being based on Knesset, they collected money for building a shul, Bolam Dvar Mitzvah, and the mitzvah matter came to their hand. Motziim Ba Amos, since it's still only money, it's liquid funds, they can use it for that mitzvah. Cut off money for Kairos, but if they already bought the stones and the beams, lo increment them mitzvah, they shouldn't sell them for a mitzvah purpose, except only the El opinion shwin to redeem captives. Avol Pisha Review Avonim Begirum. And even though they brought the stones and they chiseled them to shape, there's a koros and the beams puzzle, and they chiseled them to shape. Because kino akol being based on Knesset, and they made everything prepared to be a shul. Mochen akol, you can sell everything, but only pinot shvim b'avah, only purpose of dealing captives. Avim b'nei b'gamru, but if they already built and finished the shul, lo yikru based on Knesset, they should not sell it. They should gather for picking and shooting from the community at Kalashon. Copies from his birthday in Zebulun Des, from Rish Beis, and German explained this elsewhere. But that's really where it belongs. It's tzedakah. It's one of the laws of tzedakah. The ain't no Kedusha Beis Knesset says it's not specifically related to Kedusha Beis Knesset, which is in this simon. Shenli's bar, we said before, the Shagava must be a Beis Knesset. when they collect money to build a shul, also shows them you can't change it. Kind of time, but here's for a special reason. Mishum Pidyon Shvuim Gedolim Kol Mitzvahs. Yeshua is the greatest of all beyond all mitzvahs. So can help Yeshiva to over here. They're based on the 7 selectmen. But Mama and here, together with the consensus of the people of the city, Chlam Shos the Pidyon Shvuim, Yeshem Pidyon Shvuim, Chem Yoredea Shom. B'zem Mevur. Gemara Reish Basra, the Gemara explains, says this Gemara ain't Mevur. Actually, most of Pidyon Shvuim. In the Gemara also only talks about giving the money for Pidyon Shvuim. I'm just going to I'm sorry. Actually, most of Pidyon Shvuim only for the purpose of Pidyon Shvuim, even with the money. In other words, I can't just do any mitzvah with the money, like we said before. That's specifically Pidyon Shvuim. So, what about the Ram goes up? Gam mitzvah cheres, even for another mitzvah, Rashoyim, they're allowed. Low TMO, so that you have to expend the money. So I have to say the Kenos of Gemara. This must have been his version of the Gemara. Also, Levos Mos Ela have to say also that they're borrowing the money for the mitzvah zoo. Then they're going to pay other money instead of it. They basically in order to build a shul. Much time to see nevertheless, Beis Yosef writes, "I feel mitzvah cheres even for another mitzvah." So they're allowed to change the money. Behes game Shiva Tovayir v'chulei with the 7 selectmen's consent. So Shiva Tovayir has to be that must be that here it's by through the Shiva Tovayir. That's why it's permissible to change any mitzvah. And earlier in Sif Yud, it's talking about below Shiva Tovayir, and then you can't sell it for the purpose of the mitzvah. Which custom Sif Yav and as written in Sif Yud Aleph. Taz. Mishnah brings down a Taz who says that the reason why it's okay is even without Shiva Tovayir because it's really a loan of the funds for the other mitzvah, not a consignment of the funds for another mitzvah. Okay, it's a bit difficult, but that's the Taz one's answer. Zesh Kasa Ibana back to Arukh HaShulchan. Zesh Kasa Ibana began with Loyim Kuru. That would just say if they built and completed already, they shouldn't sell. It's not that it's awesome to sell shul Pidyon Shvuim. They ain't derechim called the Rosh Hashanah. People don't do it. You don't sell your dwelling place. So even though they haven't done yet, and as Manula Milsi, still that's not appropriate. Just like we don't normally we don't demand that he sell his house for Pidyon Shvuim. We don't sell shul for Pidyon Shvuim. The bracket says brings down this the Mogen Avraham. Match class of Sif Kos Lamed Beis. The Rambam Agirsa Banu Yigmoru. Rambam's calling Rambam Agirsa if they're building it, they should complete it. And so here's the Rambam Kol B'Shulchan Aruch that if it's already built, then they shouldn't sell it. Miladina Vadekenu, but it says, but that's certainly the halacha. Even if it's not completed yet, they shouldn't sell it. Time to look around the other one for Gemara, because it's no worse than a person's deer, which he doesn't. It's not normal to try to sell, it, even if he's in the middle of constructing it. Mishnah Berurah though says no. It's only if they completed it. If they didn't complete it, even in the process of building it, it's just like stones and sticks, and they're allowed to sell them for the purpose of Pidyon Shvuim.